in your testimony. Now, first, as context, I have seen that the GDP of Europe over the last 20 years, which is roughly equal 20 years ago to the U.S., collective GDP, has flattened out and ours has grown. Now, there is a relationship, we all know, between power usage and with economic growth. You speak about the deindustrialization of Germany and how no rational executive would now invest in Germany, which is incredible. Can you expound on that? Because that would have incredible impacts upon jobs for working Germans, just like having a similarly wrong-headed policy in the U.S. would have incredibly negative implications for working Americans.
Yeah, somebody's done business in Germany for 40 years. We've never had power outages in Germany. This is not a question of availability of electrons. It is a question about the value of electrons. And in Germany, I'm paying for coal, I'm paying for solar, I'm paying for wind, I'm paying for nuclear from France, and I'm paying for imports of gas coming in from the United States. I'm paying for 5 sources. At best, 2 of those sources are actually operating and supplying our facilities. But I'm paying for all 5 of them. I mean, that literally, and you add onto that the regulatory, the carbon taxes, and the cost above that, and I'm paying roughly about 6 times more for electricity. For exactly the same facility in your state of Louisiana, we operate a very large facility in Geismar, Louisiana, and we operate virtually the same facility.
So how many people did you employ at peak in Germany?
Oh, in Europe, across Europe, was about 6,500.
At peak?
At peak.
And where are you now?
Just over 1,000.
And so the implications are that if you get your regulatory policy and if you get your electricity policy or your power policy wrong, then people deinvest, and then you end up working families losing their livelihood.
Not just ours, but our customers, our suppliers, the entire supply chain.
I once heard you say, going to another portion of your testimony, intriguing conversation, you're suggesting that the chemical industry may be more carbon intensive, but the downstream effect is to decrease carbon intensity. You use the example of using carbon fiber instead of steel in a plane. I can imagine how much fuel that saves in a plane, but I can imagine that the carbon-intense carbon fiber, by definition, may be a little bit more carbon intense to produce, or at least roughly equal. But it saves you more in life cycle.
That's right.
Can you elaborate on that? Because I think there's probably other examples.
No, we earlier, the senator, I believe it was King, that had the cabling. The wraparound of that cabling is that carbon fiber is going to be, for the most part, an epoxy material that obviously insulates a lot of that transmission. That's the same materials that are going in, and it's lightening the load, lightening the transmission, making these things stronger. A Boeing 787 gets about 35% better mileage than the Boeing 767, the model that it replaced, and all of that is virtually no aluminum. It's mostly carbon fiber and composite materials. We have, just our company alone, about somewhere between 17 and 18 tons of liquid material, glue essentially, that goes on each 787 or Airbus 350. That's lightening the plane. It's allowing it to fly further. Over the lifetime of that plane, you'll be saving 100-fold.
So even though in the moment in time, in the snapshot, it may look like, oh my gosh, emissions are increasing or whatever is increasing at Huntsman, but if you take that product you're producing over the life cycle of its use, the global climate is better, if you're looking at it from the perspective of carbon.
That's right. I'd also tell you, though, that our carbon's actually coming down.
I accept that, too.
In our manufacturing. We're getting the benefit of both, better, lighter usage on the customer side and also the manufacturing side.
Sounds good. Well, next is going to be Senator Padilla.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Excuse me, hang on. I have Padilla before Cantwell. That's the list given to me. It's up to you guys. Y'all work it out.
All right, well, if you don't mind, because we were here earlier.